Start recording.
Have to dismiss that dialogue box. So welcome, everybody. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. And Denise, will you do a roll call of the MAC members?
My pleasure. Janice Metz is unable to attend. JL Diaz,
Present.
Seema Chandra,
Here.
Lon Glickstein,
Here.
Chair Nye,
Here.
and Graham Ross.
Yeah.
You're on mute. Okay.
He's there.
Okay, next we'll do the flag salute. JL, do you want to lead that for us?
I do have a flag.
Thank you.
I
Yes.
do. You want to give me 1 second?
Sure.
I'm on my own computer, so it's a little different than when I'm on my sorry. Than when I'm on my regular computer, the one at work. Sorry. Oops. It's not letting me minimize.
Don't worry about it. Take your time.
Okay, remote, let's see the screen. Where is it? It is not giving me that option. I apologize. Normally, I will figure this out in a second. So sorry, if you want to go ahead.
We can go ahead. All right. If we
Yeah.
may all please stand and begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, gee, I'm so sorry. And we'll get
Okay,
this
we got it done.
organized.
It's
Thanks,
okay.
JL.
No worries.
So the next thing on our agenda is a selection of a chair and a vice chair. I'm going to have them be done at the same time. We'll nominate 2 people and we'll vote at one time. So do I have a nomination for chair?
I like
Should we
to
do that?
nominate.
Sorry,
Oh.
should we do that without Janice?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
What?
Seema?
Oh, I was going to nominate you, Jane, for chair.
Oh. Any other nominations?
Is there a
I-
second?
I second
Second that.
Oh, I think Alon came in just a hair.
that.
We have a
I would-
nomination for vice chair.
I nominate JL Diaz.
I'll second it.
Okay, so the nomination is for Jane as chair and JL as vice. I'll do a roll call.
Do a roll call vote, please.
Yes, JL Diaz,
Yes.
Seema Chandra,
Yes.
Alon Glickstein,
Yes.
Chair Nye.
Yes,
Yay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Jane and Jill.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go on to the adoption of the agenda.
I got it.
Great. Any
Oh, it's
changes?
showing. Yes.
Any
Yes.
changes to the agenda? Or do I have a motion to adopt?
Up the agenda.
Do I have a
Seema,
second?
I second it.
JL second.
You want to do a roll call vote?
Sure. JL Diaz,
Yes.
Seema Chandra,
Yes.
Alon Glickstein,
Yes.
Chair Nye.
Yes.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to adoption of the minutes from October 28th. Any changes? Do I have a motion to adopt the minutes from October 28th?
I move to adopt.
I second the motion.
Okay.
I'm going to take a roll call vote.
Yes, ma'am. JL Diaz,
Yes.
Seema Chandra,
Yes.
Alon Glickstein,
Yes.
Chair Nye.
Yes. Okay, we're going to move on to the public safety reports. We'll start out with Lieutenant Key from the CHP.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. Hope everybody's having a safe year so far. I know for the Highway Patrol, it's been pretty challenging with COVID. We lost almost half of our staff at one point, and we were having a tough time to staff our office, but we're coming out of it. As far as anything significant happening in the Oak Park area, there's really nothing that happened other than there was a major injury crash on Deer Hill Road on the 16th involving a juvenile pedestrian. Apparently, they may have been on their cell phone and walked out in front of a vehicle and got struck. So luckily, you know, the injuries were major injuries, but it looks like they're going to survive. But just one of those things, you know, it's hard sometimes to remember to look up when you're on your cell phone, and unfortunately drivers will use them when they're driving, and of course we see what happens with that. But you know, another issue is when you're just walking down the sidewalk and forget to look around before crossing the street. So hopefully it results in a positive outcome. Other than that, really nothing. I just wanted to make sure you're aware of some of the services that the Moore Park area CHP provides to the public. Just remember that we do child seat installations. We do VIN appointments in case you need to register your vehicle and you're having issues. Sometimes the Highway Patrol will confirm the VIN number on the vehicle so you can register it. And then we have Start Smart classes that we offer to young drivers. And basically it's just instruction and gives them tips on being safe as they start to drive on the streets and freeways. One last tip I'll provide to the MAC is just as a reminder, if you're disabled on the freeway and you know have mechanical problems or you get a flat tire, always try to pull over to the right shoulder. That's probably the best place you can go so that we can render aid. To as far to the white line that you see on the road is good, and try to stay out of the center divider. That's a really dangerous area. And if you have to stop in the center divider, what we urge you to do is to call 911, and we'll respond an officer to the scene and help you across the freeway and get you out of there safely. But yeah, just wanted to leave you with a few safety tips, nothing else to report. And if you have any traffic issues in your area, please let me know and we'll address those accordingly.
Thank you, Lieutenant Kate. Appreciate your time. Do we have Deputy Vo from the Sheriff's Department?
Deputy Vo, if you're able to unmute yourself, he might be either running late or had a last minute, something that popped up last minute. I don't have any emails from him.
Okay,
So might
we'll
have been
move
the last
on. If
minute.
he shows up, just let me know and I'll,
Yeah.
we can bring him in.
Let's see. Oops, someone just came
Is
in.
that him?
I don't think so.
I have a question for Deputy Lieutenant Keith. This is Alon. I have just wondering if you heard of this incident. I heard today that some people, an incident in Sherman Oaks, that the people hit a car in order to get the person to stop, and then robbers came out of the car and basically robbed the person and drove away. Have you heard of instances like that recently? Yeah.
Other than that incident, no other incidents, but yes, I did hear about that particular one on the news. And yes, it is alarming. You have to be careful out there. And, you know, there's always new methods that criminals will use to, you know, either rob or commit crimes. And unfortunately, that act is not something that we see a whole lot of, and that I've seen in, you know, our area, much less LA, but that's the first one that I've heard in a while.
What do you recommend people do now going forward if they're worried about something like this happening again? If you get hit, you know, in a car accident, do you recommend now that people call dispatch, the police, not get out of the car? I mean, what do you think?
Absolutely. You know, if you're involved in a collision, that's one of the responsibilities, at least of the Highway Patrol. We will respond and render aid. But yeah, at any time, if something doesn't look right to you, one of the first things you should try to do is call 911 and get the police responding to your location as quickly as possible. And just dialing 911 if you're confronted, just dialing it and leaving your phone open so that it picks up the sound if all else fails. But everything you can do to report that. And if in another scenario, if you immediately see something wrong and it's evident that there's going to be a crime committed against you, lock yourself in your car, make it more difficult to access you. And if your car is drivable, do what you can to drive away. Even if you have a flat tire, just going at a reasonable speed to get away, you gotta look out for your safety. And that's like the worst case scenario. I'm thinking of, somebody having weapons, that's what I would do. And that's what I would recommend that you do, just to get away from them. But hopefully that doesn't continue. I haven't heard anything like that in quite some time. And that's the first one that I've heard about.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you very much for your recommendation.
No problem.
I have a question. So earlier this week, like a mom was saying that there was a white van approaching like kids walking down the street in our community. I live in by Brookside Elementary area. I did not get much detail about that, but she was afraid, so she was picking up her kids from school instead of having them walk. So did you hear anything about that?
I did not, but I urge, all of our community members, if anybody sees anything suspicious, getting as much information as possible, a license plate, whatever the acts of the driver are, that makes it look suspicious to you.
Mm-hmm.
Please obtain that information. And, the area is, the Sheriff's Department and the Highway Patrol both have jurisdiction in various parts, but
Mm-hmm.
I just urge you to provide that to one of us, and we'll determine what jurisdiction it belongs in, and we'll make sure that we address it accordingly.
Okay, great. And I also have another question. So last year, I heard a lot of robbery incidents in the neighborhood. But statistically, like, did you guys notice an increase of crime in our community compared to previous years?
Those questions would probably be better suited with the Sheriff's Department. The Highway Patrol, although we will investigate any crime in our jurisdiction, the majority of the crimes that you're talking about, the Sheriff's Department will cover, and they'll have the statistics on that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that you'll be able to get that opportunity. The sheriffs usually send a representative on the MAC meetings, and if you don't, if he is unable to make it tonight, I urge you to give your questions to Venice, and what she'll do is she'll forward them to the deputy, and we'll make sure that we get your questions answered.
I'm going to go ahead and put my email in the chat. So, and you can forward any questions to me.
Okay.
Thank you, Lieutenant Key. I appreciate your time. We're going to move on to Supervisor Parks. Comments?
Hi, thank you.
Supervisor?
Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you all, at least virtually. We have a few things I can report to you in the Oak Park community, and then a little bit about countywide issues. First of all, May Boyer Park. The Public Works Department has received funding so that we can ensure that the tree there will not be cut down. We'll be working with.
Thank you, Supervisor Parks. Great news. Thank you so much.
It is. I'm glad that occurred, and they will be reaching out to the Rancho Simi Rec and Park District shortly.
Mm-hmm.
And also they'll be preserving the trees along Hawthorne. We have funding for that too. And on top of that.
Thank you. That was all due to you. Thank you so much.
I'm glad it really was, took a lot of pieces coming together, but funds come from the Public Works Department for the bump in the road, right? So they can do that part. From our CEO's office, they're putting in some funds, and CSA was going to put in an initial funds for what it would cost to cut them down, so that those funds will be used too. But we have the extra now to keep the trees, and the same in the case of the tree at Mayboyer Park, RSRPD will pay for what it would cost if they were going to cut it down, but we are going to pay the extra so it doesn't get cut down. And that's a way that we can share and keep it up. And also having our county come back in April, I think it is, with some standards that we can look at for how to do sidewalks in a way that doesn't cut down mature trees. So just in those places where there are mature trees, looking at some separate standards for that. And we'll make sure and let you all know when that's going to happen, because it would be helpful if you could weigh in and have your voices heard at our board meeting, because there may be some pushback from others. So it's always good to have support on things that you care a lot about. Let's see, the Callegas Las Virgenes Interconnection Project. We alerted Callegas Municipal Water District about sunken potholes reported at Canaan and Lindero due to the pre-construction phase of the project, and they will get to repairs on the road this week. So that's good to know. And we have these community beautification events, and these are places when you can go, this time it's at the high school, to dump your electronic waste, big bulky items, green waste and such. And so we've got one, and we're doing it for the first time in conjunction with the high school. Oak Park High School has their day where they also collect, I think, for shredding papers and all that. So we're going to work together and have just one day where we all can coordinate together. And that day, do we have a date yet for that, Denise? Maybe not set yet.
April 2nd.
April 2nd. Okay, great. So put that down, and it'll be a joint effort between the county and the school district, and all those neat things that you can take care of and clean out your garage and all that. You can do some spring cleaning. And the schools will also be offering various waste collection stations with more information from the school. So in essence, too, in addition to it being one coordinated event, it also is an opportunity to get the information out more to the community. And we always like to be competitive with the other supervisor districts, which are the most, waste that we can, recycle and all of that. So you guys always lead the pack as usual. And then I know there was concern about the Agoura Hills housing element. They have an environmental impact report, and we understand that it has not been circulated yet. So they have to put that together and then they release it. And that will likely happen sometime in the next few months, because they say early 22, and here we are in early 22. And then our county agencies will carefully review the environmental impact report to look at, for example, traffic and safety impacts for Oak Park due to multifamily housing development proposed along Canaan. I've specifically asked them to take a look at that. And countywide, looking at the Board of Supervisors, we had our meeting Tuesday, and Supervisor Carmen Ramirez is now chair. And that's just wonderful. It's wonderful that she's chair and that I'm not. It's a tough year, but things do seem to be getting better. COVID-wise, we get a lot of concerned people who are concerned that we're doing too much for COVID. And so at this point, it's nice to see the numbers start to go down. We peaked at our hospital, got close to 400 people in the hospital on one day, and now we're dropping down into the 300s and lower 300s. So that is good, and hope that will continue.
Oh, you're muted somehow. We lost you, Supervisor.
Their effort to increase the cost for solar rooftops. So that was something our board unanimously supported. Also looking at another measure I got through is to have developers who are developing projects, when they do their CEQA documents, they have to consider how to mitigate their greenhouse gas emissions, and to have the option of doing the Clean Power Alliance at 100% green. That would be one way, or Southern California Edison doing 100% green. And that's a way to kind of incorporate that, green energy into new developments. and also to require our lessees, like we have a lot of lessees at the harbor, airport, other places, that they also sign up for 100% green energy. Overall, countywide, over 90% of residents and businesses use 100% green energy in the unincorporated area, and also in the cities that are part of the Clean Power Alliance, which includes Thousand Oaks, Simi Valley, Camarillo, Oxnard, Ojai, Ventura, all but 3 cities essentially in the county are all part of that Clean Power Alliance, which I'm happy to be on the board of and help usher in. We actually have the most 100% green customers of any place in the nation. And so the county of Los Angeles is now going to become 100% green, the unincorporated area there. So that's going to bring in a lot of people. So good news happening, I think, on that front too. And at this time, I'm open for questions, and otherwise here for the rest of the meeting.
Any questions for Supervisor Parks? Carolyn, you're muted.
I've asked you to unmute.
I know she's
Okay.
doing it.
She's
She's
got it?
not
Okay.
Oh, can you unmute Jana? Sorry, Jana Orkney.
I've
Carolyn's sitting next to her.
sent you the unmute. It's asked you to unmute.
Sign
There you
language.
go.
There you go.
Right there, is it unmuted? Okay.
Yes, we can hear
Yes.
you, Carolyn.
Linda, thank you for all of your efforts for our trees and our sidewalks from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. I want to understand if the county is going to establish new rules for sidewalk repair. How did you say that we get our voices heard? Because things like sidewalk grinding that is much more efficient and cost effective, I hope that can be looked at. And I would like to have more citizen input in how we are going to keep our mature trees healthy and our sidewalks safe. How did you suggest that we do that input?
And it was quite a battle to get the county to agree to allow for sidewalks to be grinded. You know, before the only option was replacing whole slabs, even if it was only like an half inch or an inch,
Right.
you know, replaced, and that was very expensive.
Right.
We do have that tool in our toolbox now, and it's a matter of inches as when they can apply that or not. As far as specifically to your question, the Public Works Agency has been directed by me and with the support of the board to come back with standards. So they're planning on coming back. It will be an agenda item, and we'll have notice of it in advance, probably a week in advance or so, with a time certain. And we will give you that information so you can, our meetings are more likely, well, who knows, but more than likely will be on Zoom just because they seem to be a lot, but you can call in and speak, and that's a way that you can get your input. But Denise will certainly make sure that you all know when that's on the agenda.
But are we able to put in input if we don't agree with what their standards are? Are we able to negotiate with them about this? Since
Let's
we've
look
all,
at the board, let's look at the board letter, and I think possibly it might say, here are options A, B, and C, and you can say we're for C. You know, we'll see how that goes, and we'll definitely keep you apprised so you can weigh in.
well, thank you very much for all your help.
And Carolyn, thank you for your advocacy. I mean,
sorry.
it was important for our community, so I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions for
I
Supervisor
have
Parks?
Jane, I have Harry Medved.
Harry, go ahead.
Hello there. I just want to say thank you so much, Linda, and congratulations. I think I was at the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy meeting on Sunday night. I think you're now the chair. Is that right?
Yeah.
Congratulations on that too, as if you don't have enough going on in your life.
No, that
But,
one, it's a big honor. It's my last year in office, and the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy was the first agency to contribute to the Wildlife Bridge. We put in the first $250,000, and that is going to have a groundbreaking this year. And
Incredible.
so it would be nice to have that be part of my going out of office event. So
A beautiful
thank you.
legacy you've already left behind. But thank you for looking after our community at Oak Park and being so good to us. Did you say there's a board meeting coming up where you could use people to kind of wave the flag and say how much this means to us regarding the
In
trees?
April, there'll be a Board of Supervisors meeting in April, and we'll tell you what the date is, what time you can call in and give you a
That would
link.
be great.
We're going to totally.
That'd be great, because we would like to rally the troops and support you supporting us.
Yeah,
thanks again.
from you. All right.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Supervisor Parks? Or comments? Or
Jane,
thank yous?
I don't see any other hands raised, so.
All right, I see that. Thank you, Supervisor Parks. Again, we very much appreciate everything you've done for our community. I see that Deputy Vo has signed on. Welcome, Deputy Vo.
Thank you. I apologize for being late. I caught
Oh,
a
no
little traffic.
worries. We're happy to have you here.
Well, thank you. I know it's kind of like a broken record here, but kind of the same things have been going on, but it's been quite a bit less the last couple months. I was running the numbers from December and January as of today. Things have been fairly quiet. We've had 3 thefts in Oak Park that we were investigating, and I think we had 1 residential burg this past year. The department, the sheriff's department, Thousand Oaks Police in particular, we caught a crew of catalytic converter thieves. So, you know, we're still plugging away at that, just trying to catch them, but it's kind of like chasing our tail kind of thing, because we catch 2 and we know there's 6 more waiting to come up mostly coming up from LA. So again, you know, to echo, I think from the past, it's, if you hear anything, call the department so we can get out there as quickly as possible. And as far as keeping things in your cars, making sure your cars are locked, that kind of thing. I don't know. I attended the Safety and Security Task Force meeting yesterday morning, and I know there was one thing they were bringing up again. I don't know if this is something Lieutenant Key was involved in, but I know they're talking about the problem with the crossing guards at the schools and stuff. So again, if people could be careful when they're driving by, I think it's predominantly at Medea Creek Middle School. They're having issues with getting some crossing guards. So if you could be just be more careful as you're driving around during school hours, I think that would be most helpful to the school. Other than that, like I said, it's been fairly quiet for the last couple months in Oak Park, and which is a good thing, and knock on wood.
So we had earlier a resident. Are you still online? Are you the Zoom user? I can't remember. You had a
She's
question
right
for
here,
the sheriff.
yes. I've asked you to
You want to unmute her?
Yeah, there she
Oh,
is.
hi, it's me.
Yeah. So we have Deputy Vo online now if you want to ask your question. I don't know your name, but
My name is Ning Rosenthal. Yeah.
welcome. So Deputy
you.
Vo can answer your question.
Oh, yeah. So hi, Deputy Vo. Thank you for the update, and glad to hear that it has been relatively quiet. So I heard an incident, like a mom from my son's school said, like there was a white van like approaching kids who were walking down the street around the Brookside Elementary area. Did you get any report for that?
I did. I was actually, excuse me, I came up later on that call. It was, I think the girls were, I think around 13 or something, and there was a younger sister there out walking a neighbor's dog, and they were approached by a white van. They got a description of the van. It was one of those white panel vans. The back of it didn't have any windows, but the thing that stood out about it was there was a bunch of stickers on it. They couldn't identify the stickers, but we did come out. There was actually 3 of us, 3 units came up, and we drove through the neighborhood. I guess what happened after the girls came home, they told their mother about it, and then the mother went out and tried to look for the van, and the van was gone. So we did not locate the van. They didn't have any information on the van other than the description of it and the stickers. There was no license plate, so we couldn't follow up on that. They believe the driver was a male. They weren't sure if there was a second occupant of the vehicle, if it was a male or a female. They thought maybe it was a female, but they didn't know for sure. The last few days I've been trying to do a little more patrolling in the area to see if I can find it, but I have not seen that van, and I haven't seen it before. So I'm hoping it's an isolated situation, but we'll continue to look around the area and see if we can locate it, but I don't have anything further than that.
But did you guys check the cameras of the houses alongside the where things?
We knocked on a few doors just to see if some people saw, but we weren't able to contact the people. Most of them, nobody answered their phone. I mean, their doors and stuff.
Yeah.
For us to see if they located anything, unless you know of anybody who actually had any footage, but we didn't locate any at that day.
Okay, where exactly it happened?
They live up Conifer, I think it is up there, up that way, and they were down Conifer, closer to the park.
To
Close to Brookside Elementary, but close to the park that's right on the corner there, Canaan.
Yeah, Chaparral Park.
Yeah.
No, is it Mayboyer Park or Chaparral Park?
I'm sorry, it was by Mayboyer Park.
Mayboyer Park.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Right, there's not a lot of houses there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and then the houses that are along that in that area are kind of far off the street, so they don't always capture, like, especially the Zoom, the Ring videos rather. The Ring videos don't always capture anything that far, and even if it does, it's unfortunate. But the quality of the camera and the distance of it doesn't always capture license plates and stuff like that. But I think it's a good description that it's one of those white panel vans without windows in the back doors that has a lot of stickers. So
Right.
that's something we're keying on and keeping an eye on.
Okay, definitely.
Thank you, Deputy Vo. Did you have
And
another question?
Yeah, my other question is that like the crime rate in Oak Park, like compare last year's crime rate to previous years, was there an increase?
I don't have the figures for the comparison of the years. I can certainly look that up, and I'll have our crime analysis run the numbers for 2021 as compared to 2020 and see where we're at.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could send that information to Venice and then we could include it in the notes.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Deputy Vo?
Yes, this is JL. One quick question, Deputy Vo. Last December, there was a report that 3 individuals died inside a house. Do you have any update on that as far as what happened? Is there foul play on that?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
There was a report last December about 3 individuals dying inside their house.
Oh, you know what? I don't have that information. It's something our major crimes looked at.
Yes.
But I don't believe that there was anything that they believed initially of any sort of foul play in it.
I see. All right. Thank you very much.
Yes.
All right, any other questions? We're going to move on to council comments. We're going to start with Graham Ross, our Oak Park High School student rep. Graham?
Hello, everyone. So right now with Oak Park High School, we're working on planning our activities like our next dance and our upcoming rallies, sort of fitting them around COVID and different variants and stuff like that, and making sure that the school still has a space to be connected and have spirit, but also stay safe. So yeah, so despite all the COVID stuff, we should have some fun things coming up. So if you guys have any questions about that, just let me know.
Alon, you're next. Any updates from you? Council comments?
Nope, I have no comments. Thank you.
Seema, any comments?
And no comments at this time. Thank you.
JL? And I know we have a separate for you.
Yes. So I'll wait until that time.
Okay. And I don't have anything either. Janice is absent today. So we'll move on to public comments. Anything that are not items that are not on the agenda? Is there anything Venice, anybody wants to bring up?
If anyone has a public comment, please raise your hand at the bottom of your screen. There should be a raise hand button in the reaction or in the reactions. I don't see any hands raised. You can flag me too. I'm looking around. I don't see anyone.
Okay, we're going to adjourn the MAC meeting to the RSRPD voting. So who am I adjourning it to? Is to Zach Miller?
Zach Miller.
Okay,
It's
so I'm gonna
7:35.
adjourn at 7:35, the MAC meeting. Zach, you can take over.
Perfect. Thank you. Good evening, Chair Nine, members of the MAC Council. My name is Zach Miller. I'm the Director of Recreation for Rancho Simi Recreation and Park District. It's the first time me attending this meeting, but I've been in that position for about 7 months. And prior to that, I spent 10 years in community services for the city of Agoura Hills. I'm also an Oak Park resident for the record, so I kind of wear two hats at this meeting, but tonight I'll be wearing my Rancho Simi hat. Also with us tonight, just so you know, is Kelly Negrete. Kelly is our newly appointed recreation supervisor that'll be working out of the community center. So I just wanted to take a quick opportunity to maybe introduce her. We've had some staff turnaround out in Oak Park, but I'm personally very excited. I have Kelly taking the supervisor role. We also have a new coordinator that will be starting shortly. So a brand new, dynamic, kind of creative recreation team for the community that I'm very excited about, very proud of, and I'm really hoping for some great recreational programs coming out of the parks and the community center for everybody in the community. This evening's kind of topic is the Oak Park election for the Oak Park Park and Recreation Planning Committee. As you may know, the Oak Park Park and Recreation Planning Committee was formed in 1976 and allowed the community to give input to the Park District on issues related to park planning, development, capital improvement projects, and recreation planning. This committee is currently comprised of 5 elected members, 2 appointed members, one from the Oak Park School District and the other from the MAC. We are currently also accepting applications for a youth member, and that person would sit on our board starting in probably our February timeframe. Those applications can go through Kelly, and they are for Oak Park residents grades 9 to 11, and they will give us advisory from a youth perspective, very much like the MAC has. Each member that's elected the Oak Park Committee serves a 2-year term with annual elections occurring in late January. The committee meets 4 times a year on the 4th Thursday of the month, usually at 7 p.m. Currently, we're looking to fill 2 open seats on the board for the term of from February 2022 to January of 2024. Oak Park residents had until 5 p.m. on Wednesday to pull nomination forms, and then they had their names placed on the ballot. We had 3 candidates that submitted nomination forms for the committee. Those candidates are Harry Medved, Ning Rosenthal, and John Watts, and all of those folks are joining us this evening. Each nominee will get a few minutes to speak at the conclusion of my oral report to give their campaign comments, if you will. Voting has already actually begun for this election. We did take some voting starting at 1 p.m. Today until 5 p.m., but the rest of the voting will take place in person at the Oak Park Community Center between 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. tomorrow. Those ballots Kelly will have available in the lobby. People can go in, place their vote. We will tally those votes at the end of the evening tomorrow night, and we plan on ratifying the election results at our February 2nd full board meeting, which is a virtual meeting that will take place on Zoom. We will also follow that with a social media post, a press release, and things of that nature to announce to the community who will be taking those positions. So at this time, I'd like to give the opportunity for all 3 candidates to say a few comments, a few minutes each, and then I will close my report with any questions that you might have for us. First up would be Mr. Harry Medved. Harry, would you like to make a few comments?
Sure, just that it's an honor to serve this beautiful community. I actually came out here from Santa Monica and never thought I would fall in love with Oak Park as much as I did, but we're surrounded by open space. And I feel, for one, that we're very lucky to have Rancho Simi Park and Recreation District as our park service. The big problem is that a lot of people who live in Oak Park have no idea who the Park Service is. They don't know, like, what is this Rancho Simi? Why is Simi Valley coming over to Oak Park? So there's a huge communication gap. And that's one thing I hope as a member of this committee that's seeking re-election, I've been able to do by working with 3 different constituents. One is with Rancho Simi itself, attending board meetings there. I think it's still embarrassing that they have a full board of people without any representation from Oak Park. I'd like to fix that in coming years, because I think there's a view of people at Rancho Simi that they do a lot for Oak Park, but people from Oak Park don't really attend the Rancho Simi meetings. So they don't, the image is that we don't care enough about Simi Valley as well, and we do. They produce a fantastic trail guide. I'm going to be working with Kelly and Zach to fix it up and make it more relevant to Oak Park folks. So I work a lot with Rancho Simi, and I think by working with them in a more civil way and a positive tone of voice, that we can work together in a very friendly way to get things done. Also working inside the Oak Park community with citizens, trying to get grassroots groups off the ground. Debbie Sharpton created this fantastic group called Friends of Oak Park Open Space. My daughter, who is a high schooler at Oak Park High School, got involved. She's on the board there. And they have an event coming up actually on the 13th. I know it's Super Bowl Sunday, but they're going to be creating a butterfly garden over at Deer Hill Park. They're also working with Medea Creek Middle School to remove crayfish from Medea Creek. So Friends of Oak Park Open Space is an offshoot in some ways of some of the work that Rancho Simi wishes they could do, but they just don't have enough staff. So we need to work with the citizens of Oak Park to help themselves, because we can't have folks who live in Simi Valley coming out here doing all the work for us. We have to put ourselves to work. So not only working with staff, but also working with the community. And number three, working with the media. I think it's really important to work more closely with the Acorn. I've been helping volunteer getting things up on Nextdoor and in social media. And so I think just in general, what I hope to do if I'm reelected and serve with these wonderful people is to do an even better job of communicating all the great things we have here in Oak Park, thanks to our fantastic Park Service, to help them do an even better job in taking care of Oak Park, and also getting the citizens more involved and more aware of Oak Park history. I co-wrote a book about the history of Oak Park with Derek Ross, the chair of the committee. He's the one who got me involved on this committee, and I hope to make the high school even more aware of the great history of our community. So that's why I'd like to continue my service to the committee.
Thank you, Harry. Thank you very much. Ms. Ning Rosenthal, your turn to speak.
Thanks, Jack. Hi, everyone. This is Ning Rosenthal. I'm a clinical epidemiologist. I got my PhD from UCLA School of Public Health. I'm, a mom of a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old who attend Brookside Elementary. I have been living in Oak Park for over 6 years. It's definitely feel privileged to live in this community. I am running for this Park and Recreation Planning Committee for several reasons. The first one is, among all the things in the world, I care about health the most. I have spent almost all my adult life working on studies that and things that can improve people's health, from tobacco control to newborn screening to like infectious disease control and improve healthcare quality and a lot of other things. So, and I'm a strong believer of the association between environment and health. I think everybody probably has a deeper understanding of that during this COVID pandemic. So, now it's like before, like we took for granted to get together with friends and family. Now it all becomes like a luxury thing. So, and also, so the whole thing just make it even more important for us to appreciate the parks and the outdoor recreational areas that we have. And we're really lucky to live in this community that we have beautiful parks and beautiful trails. I take my kids to the parks every day, and I live right by the Medea Creek. So we go to the creek and we do cleaning. We catch crayfish. We do everything we can to improve the environment there. And I have to say that probably 85% happy with all the park services, and I'm hoping that our parks can be more sustainable and more environmentally friendly. We have huge grass areas and use a lot of water. And there are some facilities that services that I think that can be improved. For example, at Chaparral Park, there's no toiletry services there. And when we have birthday parties there, when kids play soccer there, like they don't have bathroom service there. So, and there are also some other things that I would like to bring to the attention of the Rancho Simi, Park District. And another reason is because like several years ago, I don't know how many of you remember like that event, the Park District tried to convert the tennis courts in Deer Hill Park to a pickleball court without making our local residents aware of that change. So I was part of the campaign to, to maintain our tennis courts, to make it, to keep it that way. We also accommodated, that the ultimate solution was to also accommodate pickleball users. But that whole event was eye-opening. Like we, as resident here, like we did not have get any information about that until last minute. So I want to be the messenger RNA. I think everybody knows mRNA now. So I want to be that mRNA for our community to really, get message to my community, get any, information related to the parks and the recreation activities in our community to the target population, and really serve as that bridge between my community and the park district. I'm also actually involved in, I'm an active member of the Environmental Sustainability Committee of this Oak Park School District. And also I'm an active member of the Community Outreach Committee here. I also participate in the PTA here. So I think I can help align the goals of the school district, the community, and especially minority communities here in Oak Park and the Rancho Simi Park District. So if I get elected, I will, work hard and be the part of the force of creating a positive environment and community for my fellow Oak Park friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Ning. The final candidate for the election is Mr. John Watts. John. Hang on, John. I believe you're on mute.
There we go.
There we go.
Sorry about that. Good evening. My name is John Watts. I have served as a member and chair of the committee for 5 years now. During this time, some of the highlights that we have experienced are regarding the cell phone towers, and as we were talking about the pickleball and tennis court sharing, the Woolsey fire, mudslide, restoring Oak Park Lagoon, and other areas affected by the fire, and many more. Those are just the highlights. If we're elected, I'd be honored to continue to represent Oak Park by advising the board and making decisions based on community feedback and best interests regarding finances and improvements. I think we have a really good committee now. Everything I feel is really good going with the current committee and with the board. And I think as far as I'm looking, whoever gets elected, I believe will do a really good job, and the dynamics are good, I think, regardless. Thank you.
Thank you, John. So that basically concludes our kind of presentation this evening. I'm happy to answer any questions. And if there are no questions, I just want to encourage the community to go out and vote tomorrow at the community center between 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. to help kind of guide us forward from a community standpoint on what best serves the Rancho Simi community, which includes obviously Oak Park as a primary this evening.
So Zach, I have
Yes.
one question. We have 3 candidates. How many openings do we have?
We have 2 open positions currently.
Oh, I see.
I should make the comment that we do accept write-in candidates. So if anyone in the community would like to become a write-in candidate, there is an option on the ballot for write-in candidates. So that is an option for those that might not have pulled paperwork or might be hearing about this information the first time this evening. But we have 3 nominees for 2 seats currently.
Thank you, Zach. Any other questions for Zach before we call the MAC meeting back to order? Thank you, Zach. Appreciate your time. Thank you. So I'm going to call the Oak Park MAC meeting back to order at 7:50 p.m. And we're going to move on to the Pure Water Project presentation. And Ricky, are you up? Are you presenting? Or Mark, are you introducing Ricky, or I'm not sure who's up?
I believe Mark, Mr. Norris.
I am right. Give me a moment. Here I am, folks. Sorry about that.
No problem.
That's okay.
Thank you. Thank
There
you, Chair and I. Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Mark Norris. I serve as the General Manager for the Triumphal Water and Sanitation District. I'd like to take a moment to thank the Oak Park MAC for giving us an opportunity to be here tonight and to provide an update on the Las Virgenes Triumphal Pure Water Project. This important project is being pursued by both districts under a joint powers agreement to address some very challenging regulatory requirements. In addition, this project provides for the future development of a new potable water source, which will enhance both districts' ability to address future drought conditions. And with that, I'd like to introduce tonight's presenter, Ricky Clark. Ricky is a public affairs associate with the Las Virgenes Municipal Water District. She has prepared a very informative presentation to share with you folks tonight. And following Ricky's presentation, both she and I will be available to answer any questions you might have. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Ricky. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I could not have asked for a better introduction. So hi, everyone. My name is Ricky Clark. As he mentioned, I am one of the public affairs associates here at Las Virgenes Municipal Water District. And I just want to thank the council for allowing me a few minutes here to share what we're doing with the Pure Water Project. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, share sound, and can everyone see that all right?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, perfect. So we'll go ahead and get started. So just a little background on our agency and the JPA. Las Virgenes is a full service water agency headquartered here in Calabasas, and we service the cities of Calabasas, Hidden Hills, Westlake Village, and Agora Hills, as well as some unincorporated areas of Los Angeles County, namely some in the Chatsworth area where our intake pump is. Really important here, we are 100% reliant on imported water from the State Water Project that we buy from Metropolitan Water District. And that is because we have no feasible source of groundwater. So we have absolutely no local source of water that we can serve our customers with. And with that water service, we serve about 25,000 acre feet of water annually, both potable and recycled. Back in the 1960s, we collaborated with Triumpho and we formed Joint Powers Authority. And that was so that we can kind of broaden our services. And that allowed us to serve about 105,000 customers with both potable, which is drinking water, as well as recycled and wastewater services. So this is just a quick look at all of our facilities operated through the JPA. Right over here is our reservoir as well as our treatment facility up in Westlake. Here's a nice, beautiful aerial shot of our wastewater facility in Calabasas. And then here's a good look at our composting facility right up the street from our headquarters when it is full of compost. And then finally, this just is just a look at all of the recycled water that we are also able to give away to our customers at no cost. Not just customers, but really anyone that chooses to just drive by and use recycled water. Anyone is welcome. So why are we here today? Why pure water? Mark mentioned that it was mainly regulatory driven, and that is because of our situation in Malibu Creek. So Malibu Creek, which is a very highly protected watershed, runs right next to our treatment facility, and it runs out to the ocean. And because of the biodiversity present in that creek and in our watershed in general, it is very, very highly regulated and very much protected. The JPA actually has a pretty major role in that watershed management and making sure that there are enough flows in that creek and making sure that our water is up to standard so that it's not harming any of the life in that creek. So what was our predicament in Malibu Creek? Well, Tapia, our wastewater facility, currently produces a surplus of our highly treated recycled water. So about 60% of that water is used for irrigating public spaces, such as golf courses. Schools are actually our biggest recycled water customer, as well as medians, parks, golf courses, things like that. The remaining 40% is actually discharged into the creek. And because that creek is so highly protected, as I mentioned, we are limited in the time that we can discharge. So we can really only discharge into the creek between the months of November and April. And so due to a TMDL, which is essentially a water quality study that was performed there, we were essentially given an ultimatum. And this is a water quality report commissioned by the Los Angeles County Regional Water Quality Control Board and the federal EPA. That report essentially found that our recycled water was negatively impacting the populations of macroinvertebrate within that creek, which of course served as the food base to that food chain. And so they basically told us we could either spend hundreds of millions of dollars to upgrade Tapia so that the water that we produce there is above and beyond drinking water standards just to continue to discharge into the creek, or we have to cease discharging into the creek altogether. And so at the time, this is in 2013, the JPA board, of course, wasn't going to greenlight spending hundreds of millions just to throw away what is a precious resource. So instead, they opted with the Pure Water Project and the Advanced Purification Facility, which will take that highly treated recycled water, send it through an additional 3-step treatment process, and treat it back beyond drinking water standards so that we can beneficially reuse that resource and close the sustainability loop. So I mentioned there were a few reasons why we embarked on Pure Water. I just covered the regulatory reason. And these are some of the environmental considerations that drove our second reason, which is establishing a local supply of water. Obviously, we're all aware of the severe drought that we're all facing and the subsequent water use restrictions. That is a major driver to the Pure Water Project and why we're looking to establish our own source of water. When you have population growth that we've experienced in Southern California, specifically, that obviously leads to an increased competition for resources. You know, one of the biggest drivers of our economy is agriculture. And so obviously the basis of agriculture is water, and you need plenty of it in order to support that. And so again, there's just all of these considerations that we have to keep in mind when we're considering the future of life in Southern California, in addition to environmental integrity, which I've already covered. So that brings me to our second reason for the Pure Water Project, and that is to create our own local supply of water. By creating our own local supply of water, it makes us more resilient to emergencies. For example, if the big one comes through and an earthquake takes out our aqueducts that delivers our water from Northern California, we will have a water supply, albeit a small one, but still one to depend on to make sure that all of the people in our region still have water for their health and safety needs. That improves reliability. Obviously, it's pushing forth and kind of doubling down on our commitment to innovation. And finally, it's closing that sustainability loop, right? We are all aware of the natural water cycle and the ways in which Mother Nature uses and reuses and sends the same water through a cycle so that we always have it. All of the water that has ever been on Earth is all of the water that's ever been on Earth. We don't get new water, it gets recycled through nature. And so what we're doing with Pure Water is essentially mimicking that and speeding it up because we need that water a lot faster. So this is a look at what that process looks like, right? And I really like this graphic because it gives you a solid view at what closing the sustainability loop looks like. So right now, our water is delivered to our homes, it gets turned into wastewater, and then it undergoes tertiary treatment here at the Tapia Water Reclamation Facility. And I just want to take a second here to emphasize that this highly tertiary treated Title 22 water is in fact the source water that we will be using for the advanced purification process. So again, I just want to drive home that we are not treating raw wastewater. We're not treating sewage water or dark water with this process. We are turning highly treated recycled water, which we use for irrigation. It has no odor. You can touch it. They use it to refill reservoirs in some places. It's highly safe water to deal with. And we send that water through a 3-step process called the advanced treatment process to turn it back into pure water, which is, again, above drinking water standards. So at this time, I actually included 2 videos that kind of give you a nice illustration of what happens at each step. And so I'll go ahead and play the first one. Our first step is microfiltration or ultrafiltration.
During microfiltration, water is forced through racks of vessels, with each vessel containing thousands of hollow fibers. The outer wall of each fiber is made up of tiny pores, only 0.4 microns in size, or about 300 times smaller than the width of a human hair. These fibers filter out microscopic particles such as silt, protozoasis, bacteria, and even viruses. Microfiltration vessels are backwashed every 30 minutes to remove any buildup of particles on the membrane walls. The backwash water is returned to the pre-treatment tank for reprocessing. This helps the plant recover a higher amount of pure water.
All right, and moving on to our second step, which is reverse osmosis, which is also our second membrane step.
Reverse osmosis works by forcing water through a special plastic membrane sheet to remove compounds such as salt, organic compounds, microorganisms, viruses, and pharmaceuticals. Rolls of membrane sheets are wound into cylinder-shaped elements. There are several elements inside each long pressure vessel. As water enters the vessels, it flows over the membrane surfaces as it moves from one end of the vessel to the other. The membrane layer is extremely thin. It allows water to pass through or permeate while preventing other compounds from passing through. Membranes remove molecules based on their size, shape, and charge. Generally, contaminants larger than water molecules will not pass through, including most chemical contaminants and all microorganisms such as viruses and bacteria. 2 streams of water are produced. Pure clean water, or permeate, flows across the membrane sheets and passes through the membrane layers to the inside core tube. Water that does not permeate becomes more highly concentrated with salts and other substances. This water is called concentrate. The pure permeate water flows out of the core tube at one end of the pressure vessel, and the concentrate water flows out another outlet. The concentrate water can then flow into the other pressure vessels for the same process to happen again, so even more pure permeate water can be recovered. About 82% of all the source water becomes purified water.
All right, and finally onto our final step in the shortest video, UV disinfection and advanced oxidation.
The next stage is ultraviolet light and advanced oxidation. The water is dosed with hydrogen peroxide and is exposed to strong UV light. This process removes any trace organic molecules. Energy instantly destroys the genetic material or DNA of any virus that may have somehow passed through previous barriers. Intense UV light and oxidation breaks down contaminant molecules. The process is similar to ones used in medicine and dentistry to sterilize equipment.
All right, so here are a couple photos just showing you what the inside of that facility looks like. And this is actually our demonstration facility. So obviously we're not full scale yet. We're actually not planning to go full scale. until 2030 at the latest. So this facility essentially acts, it serves two purposes. One is outreach purposes. We invite the public in limited capacity, and of course, when it's safe due to COVID protocol, to come and learn about what we're doing. We use visual assets such as a mural, a video, and then the reader rail videos that I included in this presentation to give them a look at what that process looks like, to give the public an opportunity to see the technology up close and personal. And then finally, if you look at the bottom photo on the right, you'll see sort of a little kitchen setup on the very right side of that photo. That is our tasting station where guests are invited to taste the water. And that's usually where I remind them that the water that's sent through this treatment process is so treated, so heavily treated or purified that there's nothing in there but H2O. So there's no other minerals, it hasn't been reinforced, so it's considered aggressive. So when we do go full scale, we will actually be piping that pure water up to our reservoir in Westlake Village that I showed you earlier to mix with water that has already been treated for about 4 to 6 months. And then at that point, it will be ready to be distributed back to our customers. But for the sake of just tasting, you are able to taste the water, you're able to see it up close and personal, and you're also able to take home one of our commemorative tasting glasses as well. And then in addition to the facility, we implemented a sustainability garden right in front and around the building. And this essentially acts as a demonstration garden for our customers that may be interested in replacing their thirsty lawns with sustainable gardening. And so again, because of the severe drought that we're all experiencing as water districts, we are always encouraging and pushing our customers to save water here, save water there. Obviously, the majority of our water use does occur outdoors, about 60 to 70%. So we're always telling them, hey, cut back on outdoor water use. So instead of just telling our customers what to do, we want to show them what that looks like in real life. And so this garden essentially acts as an asset for our customers and has actually been sort of a larger draw to our demonstration facility than the advanced purification process itself. If you look at the photos, you'll see signs located in different sections, and those signs include information about the plants there, information on the amount of water that it takes so that those plants can flourish, as well as a QR code that visitors can scan with their smartphones that takes them to a web page with video content on that information, as well as a full downloadable plant list that they have access to. So again, we're trying to put our money where our mouth is with the pure water facility and the advanced treatment facility, showing what our customers, what we're doing for long-term sustainability and reliability, and then also showing them what they can do for short-term emergency savings and how they can do that. So always trying to be a resource for our customers and help them as much as possible. And before Mark and I take questions, I just wanted to personally invite the advisory council over to our demonstration facility for a tour to see it in action and come taste the water. Of course, when COVID protocol allows, hopefully when these COVID cases come down. And with that, that is the conclusion of my presentation. If you have any questions, Mark and I will be happy to answer.
Thank you, Ricky. And I can say that I've tasted the water and it tastes great.
I agree. It's actually my favorite tasting water, and I'm sort of a water snob myself.
Any questions for Ricky or Mark?
I do have a question for Ricky. Thank you so much for the introduction. It's fascinating to watch. So I just have a quick question. You know, I come from public health field. So you said the water just had H2O, but do you guys add fluoride for oral health?
That's a good question. No, we do not add fluoride from our district's perspective. We actually, as I mentioned, we buy 100% of our water from Metropolitan Water District. That water is already treated. And so the water that, like for example, when our pure water will be piped to the reservoir, all of the water in the reservoir is already treated. It'll mix with that water, and because it's an open air environment, it'll go through our Westlake facility, which is the filtration plant. There we use diatomaceous earth for that level of filtration. So our water district does not add fluoride.
But the ultimate, so the pure water does not go to our house directly, it go into the reservoir.
Correct, because pure water, because it's considered aggressive, because it hasn't been fortified with the necessary minerals that it needs, it would start leaching those minerals from whatever vessel it's in. So instead, we'll be piping that water up to the reservoir so that it can mix with the water that already has those minerals first.
Okay, great. And then is the tour open to public? Like, can we organize like a field trip like for the kids too?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So our facility opened with a virtual grand opening in 2020, obviously because of COVID. And throughout 2021, we were able to open it in limited capacity. But right now, because of the spike in cases due to Omicron, we are playing it safe and we don't have any tours going on right now. But we are hoping that by the end of February, maybe mid-March, we'll be able to again welcome the public. And all of that information will be available on our Pure Water website that I can include in the chat right now since it's not in the presentation. On that website, there is a booking page where you can book tours for schools as well as dates for the public.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
Any other questions for Ricky or Mark?
I don't see any hands raised, so thank you.
All right, Ricky, thank you so much. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, great
Thank you.
presentation. Thank you.
And I'm putting our website in the chat right now.
Oh, great.
Perfect. Thanks, Ricky. We're going to move on to advisory matters. So Vinny sent out the 2022 calendar. So do I have a motion to approve?
I can
the
share
calendar?
it. I can share it if you'd like. If you want to look at it.
So I have a question about that, Jane.
Go ahead.
There's Denise, you have a meeting in December between Christmas and New Year's. I think generally we take that month off.
Yeah, and that's fine. I just basically I did every last Thursday. So it's up to you guys. We can take it off. That's perfectly fine.
And I think we followed what was the supervisor's calendar. So we were dark in November and December.
November and December?
Past year. Yeah, this past year we were.
Yeah, I had
Last
November
meeting was
off.
October, yeah. So probably December as well. I think that's a good point, Zima.
Okay.
And we want to move it earlier in the month because I know that week between Christmas and New Year's, most people, maybe out of town or busy.
I think just removing it at this point would be a good move. It's a busy time.
Okay. And then my second question is, sometimes we take August off, right? I'm just asking, I don't need to, I'm just mentioning that we have in the past, but I'm okay if we want to leave it.
We do usually take August off. And the good thing is, if there is something, no matter what, if there's ever something that needs to be on and it's time sensitive, we will ask for a meeting to be added.
Thank you, Seema. Thank you, Supervisor Parks. Can I have a motion to approve as amended?
Sure.
I motion for this to be approved.
Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Can you call for a vote?
I sure will. I will do a roll call. JL Diaz,
Yes.
Seema Chandra,
Yes.
Alon Glickstein,
Yes.
and Chair Nye.
Yes.
Thank you.
So now the second part of advisory matters is we're going to go over the MAC assignments, and without Jan is here, can we move that out to the following meeting, Venice?
Sure.
Because I think, we'd really like to include her in the decisions.
I'm happy.
Is that okay with the board?
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
I'm
Thank
okay
you.
with it also.
Thank you. The next topic is information items. And JL has two. One is update on the community pond and update on the Fire Safe Council. JL, do you want to go ahead?
Yes, thank you very much, Chair Nye. Rancho, in the last Rancho Simi Valley Oak Park committee meeting mentioned to us that the Woolsey Fire Recovery Project, specifically the Oak Canyon Community Park Lagoon and Picnic Pavilion, is going to be bidded out in February. Okay, so the construction plans have been approved. I think they're waiting for some approval from the county public works and engineering department and safety department. A few more little, approval from the county plus the environmental consultant. I think the name is NVCom Corporation. They are very confident that these approvals will be done in February, and so by that time, by the end of the February, this will be subject to once all the necessary permits have been given, will be bidded out. Okay, so it's gonna be exciting. We'll get more information once the RFP is out, and we'll share it to the MAC.
JL, are we returning it to its original state? Is my understanding, is that correct? Or
No,
is
there
it-
are some changes that they're planning to do with it. In my mind, improvements actually. So yeah, it's not gonna be in its original what we did before, but I'm imagining it's gonna be beautiful. I didn't see any of the plans yet. I don't think it has been shared, but we'll take a look at that and share that with you guys once it's available.
Any questions for JL on the community pond? I know
Jane,
we're
I have
all
a
anxious.
hand raised.
Yes,
Okay.
Harry, you want to
Yeah.
add something to that?
Sure, JL, and I think John, you're on the call too. And Carolyn, you were a part of the committee at the time. I think it is going back to its original state. We had three choices of whether we could make it just one big Medea Creek, make it a smaller pond, or make it look like it the way it did. And we always felt this was the gem of Oak Park. It now looks like the trash dump of Oak Park. And we can't wait to see it get fixed up. And JL, I think also they said that they really hope that by the end of the year, it'll be ready. That I think they said August, with the time frame is when they'd actually start the construction. It still feels like forever, but at least it's good to know it'll be this year. But it will look like the way it did before. That's what they've guaranteed for us
That's
with the
exciting.
waterfall and everything.
Thank you for the update, Harry. Any other questions for JL before we move on to a second topic? Any other questions about the pond? Okay, Fire Safe Council, JL?
Yes, I am happy to report that last December, we formally organized Oak Park's Fire Safe Council. And so I would like to thank the foundation, the community foundation, Alon, being the chair of that foundation, able to help support us in the 501c side of things. So thank you very much. And because of that, we were able to turn this around really quick. We were funded in December as well to have some startup money for our organization. And there's so many things that the foundation or the Oak Park Fire Safe Council is planning to do, and we hope that in the next MAC meeting we can present the volunteers and the officers of the council and present to you what we're doing. There's so many things that we would like to spearhead, and most important of this will be the risk assessment to the city of Oak Park and the wildfire planning strategies and plan for making sure that we are ready and we have all the activities installed before this wildfire comes again, right? It's not a question of if, but a question of when. And so getting involved in terms of making sure that they are aware of the things that they need to do is very important for the safety of the community. Because if one house, gets a disastrous fire, that could spread, right? So if everyone is doing their job to make sure that the houses are hardened, doing all of these mitigation procedures to make sure that they're protecting their property, the whole community will be protected as well. So there's a lot of things that we are planning to do. The wildfire risk assessment, as I mentioned, is number one, in our agenda. And having said that, I'd just like to let you know also that this risk assessment and preparation of the wildfire protection plan comes with a cost. And being a startup organization, we are looking for grant money, and we're looking for people who can support the costs. And I already mentioned to Venice, if there's a way we can solicit some of the the funds of MAC to help us, that would be great. But hope we can consider that next time. So, but yeah, we are up and running as far as the Fire Safe Council is concerned.
There was a nice article last week in the Acorn with
Oh, thank you very
Supervisor
much.
Park's
Yeah,
comments
really
and your
great.
comments. Thank you. It was a beautiful article.
Yes.
Well done. Good publicity.
Thank you.
Supervisor Parks, anything you want to say about the Fire Safe Council?
I'm so happy to see it taking off. And JL, thank you for your leadership on this. And I have another Fire Safe Council that started out in Ventura Park, and I'm seeing one of the leaders there now possibly moving on to assist the Ventura. There's a Ventura Fire Safe Council that's a wider area. So it's great to see the community involvement. As far as the potential of using the CSA funds, those have to, just like we did with the CERT funds and the volunteer and policing, you have powers that are given to you, and the one regarding fire is not one that is a activated power. It's what they would refer to as a latent power. So currently funding could not go from the CSA to the Fire Safe Council, unfortunately, as it stands today.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for that information.
And it's great to hear, that other organizations are getting involved, the foundation particularly. That's wonderful. And I'll also keep, an ear to the ground to see if there might be some funds available. For example, just one that comes to mind is the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy.
Oh, there you go. Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
They received, I think, $25 million and have been dispersing it throughout the region to protect from fires, specifically fires. And I know we've given money for emergency equipment to cities, to park districts, and other organizations. I guess the one thing that might prevent it for going to the Fire Safe Council is that it doesn't exist yet. So I think if you have your nonprofit status, you have a lot better opportunity to get funds. And that's kind of the whole point, is that, the Fire Safe Councils do bring in grant monies to protect communities. So once you get that nonprofit status, I know it takes a little time. We'll see about getting some funds there.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Great job, JL. Thank you so much. So the next topic is written communications. So Alon, do you have any written communications that you want to bring up? Seema, any written?
No, not. I do not.
JL?
Nope. I don't have.
Any either? Future agenda items. Is anybody interested in adding anything on for Venice to add to our future agenda?
Yes, as I mentioned, in February, if we can present the Oak Park Fire Safe Council to the community, because we would like to tell you more about our status and where we are in terms of fundraising and opening up the membership to the public. We would like to present in the next Oak Park.
Sure.
Map.
Alon, any future topics?
I have another one too for next month, Venice. We were going to discuss that landscaping on Golden Eagle. Right, Supervisor Parks, wasn't there some county they were going to look at certain recommendations for Oak Park landscaping?
Yes. Public Works asked if we could move it. They still needed to do a little more research on that. So yes, I do have it on my radar.
And
Thanks.
of course, the assignments, we've moved out to the
Yes.
next meeting. Harry, did you have a
Yes.
question or request?
Yes, I did. And I'll take my hand down so you can don't have to see that. A while back, the Oak Park Committee voted to give some of Rancho Simi land to Callegas Water District to build a water redundancy project, which has been tying up traffic on Lindero for quite a while. I don't think they're finished yet. And I'm wondering if it's possible to build a sidewalk along Lindero Canyon Road for those people who jog there and walk there. I see a lot of people
We've
at
already
night when they're
brought that
driving home.
up. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
Harry, we brought that up early on before the project even kicked off, and the answer was no. Sorry.
But I guess the question is it Ventura County? Is it LA County? Is it
It's
Rancho Simi? Whose property is it?
Supervisor Parks.
I think it's Los Angeles, isn't it? Over
Isn't
there.
there? But I think part of it is Ventura County
with
too,
the
where there's no
back
sidewalk.
thing.
Is there
Yeah,
no, is there
we
no
did look
part
into
of?
it. I can follow up with Callegas, but we did look into it and it was just not possible to do.
Okay, because a neighbor just asked me recently, they knew I was on the
Yeah.
committee.
I think it's a great idea.
I
And
agree.
Could we bring it up again one more time at the next meeting and I'll do some research?
Matter of funding, is what makes it a no instead of, logistics or feasibility. But right now with the Build Back America plan, and there's also the American Recovery Act, and there's a lot of infrastructure money that's come.
That's a good point. It's different now.
Be able to get captured
And
and
to connect it to Westlake down Lindero, they just built that beautiful sidewalk park. So that's an excellent point.
And
Supervisor
Shane,
Parks.
one more thing that I would just say is that I think also the community now has seen the impact of the horrible traffic on Lindero Canyon Road. So if you give something back for the $100,000 that Rancho Simi got, that Callegas paid us, it would be nice. Because right now, all we just get is a lot of traffic and we hear about this water redundancy project, which hopefully will work out. But if they're going to have to cut up the road a little bit more, and I think they will, why not put a sidewalk there while they're rebuilding it?
so is it the city of Westlake Village in the
That's
county?
my
It is,
understanding,
yes.
that it came through, has to be Thousand Oaks.
That's who
I
you would
think-
want to write a letter to or connect with, and if that's something.
I will, and I'll bring it to the next MAC if you don't mind. But I believe there's also a little piece of Ventura County property that does not have a sidewalk as well. I'll take photos and I'll bring it to the next MAC meeting.
And
So
then
thank
I
you for putting it on the agenda.
May want to talk with the city of Westlake Village and see what they think.
Who would I talk to there, Linda?
Just like I would talk with the council members. I know some of the council members. I know they would definitely hear you and see what they can do. So.
Okay, I'll connect with your office and find out the best council members.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks.
Any other suggestions for future agenda items that anybody would like to see? Thank you. We're gonna adjourn at 8:28. Thank you all for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Bye-bye.
much.
Thank you, everybody.
Really
Have a good night.
Take
Great-
care.
Thank you.
Nice
Great
seeing you.
meeting.
Bye, Jana.
Bye.
Yeah.
Good meeting.